Man, I sure hope all these space missions go well, and everything is. I think now I'm just a guy who lives back in back in the time. I didn't even.
Well, you've lived through the housing crisis. You've lived through what was it? World War One, World War Two, one of the wars, in that order specifically. Yeah, two then one, housing crisis then two then one, and now you have the space race. So you're if I wasn't the incredibly smart person that I am, I would think that you were like maybe is Doctor Who too nerdy a reference for this baseball podcast? I feel like no. Traveling space and time to all the best points in human history, right? 2008, 1945. We love these things. This is actually a great time in human history.
But the space race does. I don't know. It's kind of stressing me out. But you know what? I'm glad that right now and probably for years to come, I can take solace in the fact that my favorite band, the Beatles, are still together.
Oh, always will be. Long run ahead of them. Don't you worry.
I can't wait for more and more and more albums. 1968. So that's the year we're doing, and let's get ready to talk about the year of the pitcher.
There's a trophy on your shelf. Does it belong to someone else? Well, we're gonna let you know on the Reward Show.
I didn't know that. I mean, when I think about pitchers in the 60s, obviously Bob Gibson comes to mind. I think this is right in like the Sandy Koufax wheelhouse.
It was right after he gets hurt.
So this is kind of like that's kind of the limit of my knowledge on pitchers in the 60s. But Bob Gibson is like a stalwart of my Cardinal knowledge. He is. I always said like if I could go back and watch one player play that I didn't get to watch, it would be Bob Gibson. So I know a lot about him. I know that this was an incredible season for him, and I can't wait to talk about him some more. But I didn't know that this was also a year for other pitchers that weren't Bob Gibson.
Oh yeah, it's such a huge pitcher year that it inspired a rule change.
Oh, was this the mound? The mound getting...
Yes, they lowered
the
mound.
I thought this was... Okay, it's so funny. This might be a Cardinals echo chamber thing. I thought this was a Bob Gibson thing. I thought Bob Gibson was so dominant that they literally were like, we have to change it because he's too good.
The main part. He was the main part of it.
Gotcha.
But they lowered the mound and they made the strike zone smaller.
Gotcha. I wonder what it looks like compared to today.
Oh yeah, because of the ABS stuff. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
43% of your height, 83% of your girth, whatever.
Girth?
That's not what I said, but okay.
All right. Let's talk about 1968. Sam, do you know who won the World Series in 1968?
Unfortunately, I do. The St. Louis Cardinals lost the World Series to the Detroit Tigers. And if I can remember correctly, this and then 84 are the only two Tigers World Series in recent memory, going back almost, what is it, 40, 60, 80 years at this point. But yeah.
Yeah.
So good for them, I guess. We have enough.
You guys faced them again in 06 and won.
Yeah.
Which
Revenge.
is great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the World Series of 1968 featured on both sides that league's MVP. And they were both pitchers.
Who was... So I don't know the answer to the American League, so I guess we'll find out together. But
yes, we will. But 1968, that was the main thing. That it was the year of the pitcher. You'll see as we look at pitcher stats just how ridiculous these stats were, and just across the board. And in correlation, you will see the hitting stats and how not impressive they were. So I think that's an important thing to take into account as we jump into rewarding, how impressive these mediocre looking seasons actually were.
So this scares me a little bit because I always knew that this is Bob Gibson's year, and
Mm-hmm.
if the pitching is that good, and there's stuff to compare him to, that's gonna make me think about it a little differently than I've always thought about it. So I'm a little bummed, Will, to be honest with you, Will, because I was always thinking that this was like, oh, Bob Gibson was just like leagues ahead of the rest of the league, and he still might be.
I will say he still is.
Okay, we're all square then. I'm excited.
This is the year that Bob Gibson sets the single season record or the modern day record for ERA in a season, with a 1.12.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, no one's touching that
no.
for a long time.
But yeah, let's jump in. Let's start
do it.
rewarding. This might be a shorter episode. Because is that Paddington snoring in the background?
Yeah, here, I'll show you. Don't put this in the episode because my bed's not made, but he's just like looking at me like that.
Oh, he's just breathing.
Yeah, he kind of has a little doggy asthma. Yeah.
That's
Well, he's
funny.
kind of whining because he wants my little egg bowl I have.
Oh, I got
He's a big scrambled egg fiend.
All right. Well, let's jump in and look at AL MVP.
All right. First of all, this era for logos, so good. I have this hat. I almost wore it today if the Blues didn't have a massive game last night that I wanted to rep. But that logo for the Cardinals, this is a big like circle baseball thing in the baseball logo era. And I love it. I love it so much. Tigers, this is my favorite Tigers logo ever.
Orioles had the same kind of thing
Orioles
going
looks
on.
awesome.
That Cardinals logo was their
Yeah.
logo for longer than I thought,
It was like the primary logo through the 80s.
and
Like,
the 90s.
yeah, it was like up until basically like Mark McGwire era Cardinals that was our primary logo. Like, and that is weird. That is weird to think about.
Yeah. But let's look at these seasons. Denny McClain.
Not in my book. 31 and 6.
So he's the last 30 game winner.
Yeah. How often has that ever happened in baseball history?
Well, this was the first time it had happened since 1934.
Okay. So in like, current modern baseball, it's like happened one time and it's this guy right here, right now, huh?
Yeah.
Insane.
31 wins. A 1.96 ERA, which doesn't lead the league.
Yeah.
280 strikeouts, which don't lead the league.
Gosh, dude.
0905 WHIP, 28 complete games leads the league. 6 shutouts, 336 innings leads the league.
Insane.
A 200 batting average against, 7.5 Ks per 9, and a 7.4 WAR, which doesn't lead the league.
No, and that's
So-
like a 7.4 WAR is not like you almost would think that it should be higher based on everything you just read to me. 280 Ks, 336 innings, 0.9 WHIP. Anything that doesn't start with a 1 WHIP is like really insane. ERA is super low too. Even if you take out the wins, the win-loss record, like all those stats are incredible. That 7.4 WAR feels low. So, but
But
crazy.
I think a lot of it is because he had a lot of really good guys on his team, like Bill Freehan, the catcher and first baseman. Doesn't have an overly impressive season, but like I said, you got to think about how dominant the pitchers were.
Yeah, so 263 average, 142 hits, 25 homers, 73 runs scored, an 819 OPS, and a 145 OPS plus. So that's doing a lot of heavy lifting. Yeah,
That's why OPS plus is important to take into account in these.
It's relative, right, to like your era, what every other hitter was doing at the time. So 145 is really great. The guy next to him though is a 155, and who's that?
Do you know who that is?
Ken Harrelson? Not in my book, no.
Nickname Hawk Harrelson?
Okay, I've heard of Hawk Harrelson, but I don't. Like,
As in,
I still don't.
As in
Hawk
the famed,
Hawk Tua.
the famed longtime play-by-play announcer for the Chicago White Sox, who coined the phrase "Put it on the board."
That's him?
Yes.
Of course I know who this is. I didn't ever know.
Yeah.
That's who that
Stretch,
was.
stretch,
Yeah.
stretch. What a play by Wise.
That ball hit deep into left center field. Wise back. Makes the catch!
What a play!
Dwayne Wise makes the catch! What a play by Wise! Mercy!
He's got so many iconic calls, and he's stuck on that godforsaken team.
And look at that season. Great season.
275 average. Everything's better than Bill Freehan, which is really strange. 109
Freehan
RBI.
was a catcher. Yeah.
I guess so. 155 OPS plus though, and an 874 OPS. This is 68, so like I don't know what stats are really being attributed at this time. Like when you're like looking at the box scores in the newspaper, like what are you looking at? Probably batting average. At the end of the year, you're looking at hits. And homers. Yeah, but he still, is better than Bill Freehan in those areas, like marginally, like not marginally, much better. Yeah. So at least in the homers and RBI category, and he has 2 stolen bases. So
there you go.
I would probably flip the two.
Yeah. Then in 4th place, we have Willie Horton, left fielder for the Detroit Tigers. He has a better season than Freehan, maybe a better season than Harrelson. 285 average, 36 homers, 85 RBI, and a 165 OPS plus, 5.4 WAR. And then after him, we have Dave McNally, the pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, who goes 22-10, a 1.95 ERA, a .842 WHIP.
Insane.
Like .8 is like Maddox numbers.
Yeah.
But a 1.82 batting average against, 273 innings pitched, 6.7 Ks per nine, a 5.9 WAR. Now, tied in 5th for him is the guy that I want to look at, have a closer look at on this list, and that's Louis Tiant.
Okay. I thought his name was Louis Taint, so glad you cleared that up.
Yeah, Louis Tiant. When you look at his season against Denny McClain's,
so obviously Danny McClain has the win-loss record, but Tiant has a better ERA at 1.6. He has similar-ish Ks, a little less, but he has 264 compared to McClain's 280.
Look at the Ks per 9.
9.2 Ks per 9, Denny McClain 7.5. So that means Denny McClain was pitching way more innings, which is true. So he had 336, Denny McClain. Tiant had 258.1 innings pitched. But Tiant still had 9 shutouts, 168 batting average against, and the WAR was a whole point higher. 7.4 for McClain, 8.5 for Tiant. So that's insane. If it comes down to these two guys, I'm going to really have to consider that Denny McClain threw like 80 more innings.
Yeah, he did.
That's what it comes down to, because that's really crazy, though. Also, is he wearing Cleveland? Is that a Cleveland uniform in the picture you put up? Or is that Cincinnati? Okay. So they have very similar. Yeah. I mean, that C is the same.
That is the Reds logo.
Yeah. All right. Copycats.
Yeah. Speaking of copycats, we have a guy wearing basically a Washington Nationals helmet.
Right.
And Frank Howard. You know about Frank Howard?
Frank Howard is such a common name that I feel like I know of many Frank Howards in my personal life in pop culture. Or maybe this is the guy I know. What's to know about Frank Howard, Will?
6'8".
Damn. Playing for who? The Senators?
The Washington Senators. The second iteration. The ones that became the Rangers.
Gotcha. But they still had the Walgreens logo in 68?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Yeah. But he bats 274, 44 homers.
Wow.
Leads the league, 106 RBI, no stolen bases, a 171 OPS plus.
Insane.
But look at that R field.
Left field, first base. They could not hide him. They tried to.
No.
Is this before
they
DH?
Tried. Yeah.
So,
DH, I think, is 3 years away.
Okay. Hitting 44 home runs and still having a 274 batting average is impressive. Like, that still doesn't happen now. You know, if you're his slugger, your batting average is 250, 240.
Unless you're Aaron Judge.
Unless you're Aaron Judge, who somehow has a 300 batting average and hits 65 home runs a year.
Yeah, we have Frank Howard. And then we have a guy with an identical OPS plus, but a higher total OPS. So that means that he played in a more
favorable
hitter-friendly
ballpark.
Yeah, more in Fenway.
Yeah.
Carl Yastrzemski wins the batting title at 301.
301. Oh, so this was not this is even... That's crazy, because everybody... Okay, this was making me feel like, and I guess we're looking at the top, cream of the crop players, obviously, when you're looking at the top 10 MVP, or at least your version of the top 10 MVP guys. But a 301 leading the league is kind of insane because that's still like a guy can lead the league in today's modern era and he's batting like 320, 330 maybe. Like that's not uncommon, even though most guys are batting lower. So it makes me feel like the margins are maybe slimmer. So like most guys are still batting like, you know, the floor might be raised to like a 250. I wonder if that's true, but it makes me feel like it is true. Like a 240, 250 is your low end instead of guys that are batting like 210, like we still see right now.
Yeah. And of course, this is the most pitcher friendly season of all time. But yeah, Carl Yastrzemski, 301, the second highest batting average in the entire major leagues, or in the American League, was 290.
So he was clear, like very clear.
But yeah, Carl Yastrzemski, 23 homers, 74 RBI, 171 OPS plus. That R field is incredible.
Not a big stolen base era, huh?
No.
Or at least none of these guys are base stealers.
I mean, it was the leader. Well, back then, if you were stealing bases, you weren't a power hitter. You weren't really a great hitter, you know? Like, I think Bert Campaneris led the league with 62 stolen bases.
That's still very, like, admirable.
I think Brock is still around at this point.
Yeah,
Or he's in the league at this point. But, yeah, then after him, we have another Detroit Tiger in Jen Northrup, who played every outfield position.
Yeah. And did it well. He has no gold on his stat sheet you pulled up here, but 264 batting average, that's fine. 21 home runs, that's good. 770 OPS, 129 OPS plus, 153 hits, 90 RBI. So just like an all-around very great, solid season.
Yeah, a good contributor, really good player.
Yeah.
And then in 17th place, Brooks Robinson at third base with a 33 field. Greatest defensive player of all time.
Yeah, insane.
17 homers, 75 RBI. So, yeah, 8.4 WAR, and he gets that with his defense, which is pretty impressive.
That is super impressive. But this list is a little tough to parse through because you're right. If you're picking a pitcher, Tiant and McClain are your 1 and 2, and it's whatever order that's in. But if you're picking a batter, a field player,
is it Harrelson or Yastrzemski or Howard? I think Howard's defense takes him out of it.
That's what I was going to say. His OPS plus is so good, but his defense is awful. -17 is terrible. His 4.6 WAR is reflective of that, too. Like, he would have probably had like a 6 easy if he was just a mediocre defender. Yastrzemski has a 10.5 WAR. Didn't realize that. I would have probably say Yastrzemski. It's crazy. One of the two Red Sox, Yastrzemski or Harrelson, and then Yastrzemski just kind of has him in everything. Defense is amazing as well. So if I'm going a batter, I'm going Yastrzemski.
Yeah, I think so too.
But McClain, is he putting together a better season than McClain or Tiant?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I was gonna say him leading the league in batting average and OPS plus is telling, and WAR is telling.
A 10 WAR season is hard to do.
Incredibly
That's ridiculous.
Hard to do. And it's like those aren't the most impressive numbers we've ever seen, but it's relative, and that's what the OPS plus tells us. You know, I value just eating innings, but that's insane, man. And 196 to a 1.6 ERA. If
also the batting average against 200 to a 168,
that's
and he has him in WAR by an entire point.
But if Tiant had pitched, 80 more innings, what his numbers
his
look
WAR
closer
would
to
be
McClain.
his WAR would be close to a 10,
I guess that's true.
and he'd have more shutouts.
His rate stats would be, his average stats would be worse. Like
yes,
that,
but they would be closer to McClain's, and then you would have the same amount of innings and a higher WAR.
And the strikeouts,
and more
definitely
strikeouts
get
per
him
night.
in. Yeah. All right, you've
it's
convinced.
Tiant.
I think it's Tiant.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's crazy because Denny McClain's season in 68 is looked at as one of the greatest pitching seasons of all time.
Well, that's why we're here to time travel and tell you and dig into the stats and tell you that no, you're all wrong. Baseball.
I mean, it is. It is one of the greatest.
Yeah, it is.
But Tiant's season is insane.
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm with you that he is the most valuable player this year, at least pitching wise.
So the 1968 American League MVP reward goes to Louis Tiant of the Cleveland Indians.
Snaps.
He died recently.
Really? Where's he from?
October 8th, 2024.
Really? Okay. See, like, he's not someone like. Is he a Hall of Famer?
No, but he won 2 ERA titles, including this year.
Okay.
He also won it in 1972 when he had a 1.91.
Wow.
229 career wins, a 3.30 ERA, 2,416 strikeouts. You can make the argument he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Career WHIP under 1.2.
Wow.
And
What's his career WAR?
65.7.
I mean, he might be on the right
borderline.
side of the line. Yeah. I mean, that's really cool.
He's comparable to a guy like Greinke.
I mean, yes, and that's a better career than CC Sabathia. Like,
It
arguably,
is.
like, it kind of
And
is.
Jack Morris.
Yes, so
We should take an episode and look at the Hall of Fame.
that would be really interesting. This is a guy, Louis Tiant, that I'm after you just said all that to me, looking at this season, knowing that he died too. I shouldn't factor that in, but it's like, damn, I want to celebrate these guys. I hate how exclusive the Hall of Fame is. We've talked about that before in this show. You're a little more exclusionary than me, but this is a guy whose career speaks for itself. So,
Baseball Reference does a thing called similarity scores, where it takes into account all of your stats and gives you the top 10 players you were most similar to in your career.
oh wow,
And these are his similar players. Catfish Hunter, Hall of Fame. Jim Bunning, Hall of Fame. Billy Pierce, Vida Blue. Mickey Lolich, borderline Hall of Fame. Don Drysdale, Hall of Fame. Jim Perry, Kevin Brown, borderline Hall of Fame. Hooks Doss, and Oral Hershiser, borderline Hall of Fame.
so a mix of guys who are in, mix of guys who are out, mix of guys who are also
Half of those guys
right
are
on
Hall
that
of
line.
Famers.
Yeah, so
And
you can
could
make
be.
the case. You can make the case. So,
And I
awesome.
think
I'm glad. Yeah,
And I know that for you, if a guy's like, you can make a case, you're
Yeah.
like, let him in.
why not? Because we already have. I don't know. We already have these benchmarks that guys are hitting and getting in. So if other guys are hitting these benchmarks too, right on that line, and I get I don't know. I'm just pro celebrating players who accomplished a lot and were really important, and you can never be it's a good thing to celebrate these guys. Imagine going into the Hall of Fame and learning about this guy, Louis Tiant. Where's he from, by the way?
Cuba.
Learning about this Cuban baseball player. I would assume one of the first
One of the
few
greatest
Cuban baseball players.
Oh, yeah.
So that's important too. So I just find that stuff very cool. There's always a story to find. So
His father, Louis Tiant Sr., was a pitcher in the Negro Leagues for 10 years in the 1930s and 40s.
That's a story too. His father pitched in the Negro Leagues. He got to play in MLB and was a borderline Hall of Famer. Maybe should be in, probably should be in. That's a cool story. I just think if you go into the Hall of Fame and you read any plaque, there's a ton of guys whose stories that you didn't know about before, and this is one of those guys. I did not know about Louis Tiant until today, and so that's just very cool.
Congratulations, El Tiante.
El Tiante.
That is his nickname.
Nice. Very cool nickname.
Okay, so Cy Young. This is how this worked back then. There was no, list your top 10 or list your top 5. It was just, write down your name that you vote for.
One guy, one vote, huh?
So both Bob Gibson and Denny McClain were unanimous, and no one else got a vote.
Wow. Unanimous, huh?
Which is crazy,
Yeah.
because I think we're about to take it away from Denny McClain.
Yeah. If he doesn't even win MVP over another pitcher, he's not going to win Cy Young.
Look at these numbers.
Yeah, these are... So he won, and then all these other guys not ranked. That's really funny. Did you put them in a specific order, or just other
Alphabetical.
guys? Okay. Stan Bonson.
Bonson.
All these ERAs, no one has above a 3. In fact, only 3 guys have above a 2. That's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
All these whips start with 1.0 something. Every single one of them except for Mel Stottlemyre has a 1.105. Everyone else is below 1.1. Most people are below a 1. Dave McNally, we already talked about him, 0.842 whip. Already talked about Louis Tiant, 871 whip. Wilbur Wood has a .715 whip. That's insane.
Yeah. And none of these guys lead the league
Really?
in whip.
League, not American League. You just mean MLB.
They don't
as a
lead the
whole.
American League. They don't lead the American League.
Who does?
I don't know.
This is just some guy.
I think it actually might be Dave McNally, and I just forgot to put the gold. Wilbur
okay.
Wood is a reliever, and so
okay. Not a qualified. That makes sense. That's really funny. Yeah, man. I mean, these are all great seasons, but if Louis Tiant was the MVP, he's getting Cy Young for me. Mm-hmm. Tommy John.
Shout out Tommy John.
Yeah. I've heard of you. Crazy that he ended up getting Tommy John surgery. Wild how that worked.
It's almost as crazy as Lou Gehrig dying of Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah, dude. I hate when that happens.
When you die of Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah. Sucks.
But we were wondering who led in Ks per 9. We've got our answer.
Sam
Who
McDowell.
also leads in strikeouts.
Yeah, wow. 283 strikeouts, 9.5 Ks per 9. That'll usually, if you lead the league in Ks per 9, you're probably going to lead the league in strikeouts.
Not the case for NL, but we'll see that.
Oh, interesting. You know, I guess that doesn't always have to be true because you can have way less innings pitched and just like a Spencer Strider type. You know, just strike out guys for 5 innings and then get hurt.
Yeah. Womp. He's currently hurt. After his only start of the season. But Sam McDowell, so I have a family friend. I think I told you about him. His name is Phil Roof, and he used to play for the Indians and for the Athletics. He told me that Sam McDowell has the greatest curveball of all time, and he caught it. He was his catcher.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know, I trust catchers. They're always gassing their guys up, but you do trust them because they see a lot of pitches. They catch a lot of guys. So to say like in one individual pitch is the greatest he's ever seen is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool to hear from a major league catcher. But I think this is a short conversation.
Yeah, it's Tiant,
right.
El Tiante.
So the American League, the 1968 American League Cy Young Reward goes to Louis Tiant of the Cleveland Indians. El Tiante. Let's go to another short conversation because weren't a lot of standout rookies in the AL.
All right, Stan Bonson was a rookie, but he was on your notable pitchers list. I mean,
Yeah, look at this rookie season.
for a reason. Yeah, 205 ERA, 1.062
Look at the innings
WHIP,
pitched.
336. I mean, if you get 336
rookie.
out of a rookie, like, where was he pitching before this? Was he just like pitching every day in the minor leagues? That's insane.
I can look, but I feel like it doesn't really matter what his stats are. If he's relatively good and he's a rookie and you get 300 plus innings out of him, you got to give him
You had a
Rookie of the Year.
7.4 WAR season. Like he should have. If Cy Young voting was normal, he would have been in that conversation.
3 or 4.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, the rest
So
of these guys
he
are
debuted
meh.
in Bonson debuted in 66 and pitched 4 games.
Okay.
He went 1-1 with a 3.52 ERA, pretty good. He was in the minors for a bit. He got sent back down to the minors for the entirety of 1967 and went 9-11 with a 3.52 ERA.
Whoa.
I mean, wasn't that great?
Yeah, that's crazy that he had this standout.
Well, it's this season. His ERA in his career never dropped below 3.15 for the rest of his career.
So yeah, I mean, this going from being made in the minors to then being amazing in the majors is really cool.
He did stick around for 16 years, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
146 wins, lifetime ERA of 3.60, 1,359 strikeouts. Really good career.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But then we have Del Unser. I mean, we have all these guys who barely played.
Right. These don't look. The thing that stands out to me of the rest of these 4 guys, Will, is that the Nationals should wear alternate Navy caps sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Those are great.
The Cardinals do that when they play teams away that have a red hat. They wear Navy caps, like the Reds or the Phillies or whoever.
The Nationals used to wear Navy caps, like in their first couple of years in the Zimmerman days.
They should. They've weirdly changed. They've rebranded a couple times already, which is odd to me. So, but anyway, yeah.
I think they need to stick. I think they should go back to the Senators branding.
I like
The pinstripes.
The pinstripes always look good. I like the DC they have. I do like that. But yeah, nothing notable to talk about with these other players, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Dave Linhard or Linard, I don't know, and then Vicente Romo, and he had a pretty good season out of the bullpen. But
Yeah.
that's about it. So yeah, I think we're in agreement. We're keeping it. The 1968 American League Rookie of the Year reward stays with Stan Bonson of the New York Yankees.
Go Yankees.
Now, we got some better names coming up for National League. We got 2 Hall of Famers.
All right. Bookending your list here. Johnny Bench. Heard of that guy. And then Nolan Ryan. Heard of that guy too.
Didn't get any votes, but in 134 innings, he had 133 strikeouts.
Oh my God. 8.9 Ks per 9. Yeah.
Also pitched an immaculate inning in his debut.
Really? His first ever inning or just in his first start?
I think it was like the 3rd or 4th inning.
That's really cool. Yeah, Johnny
The Mets.
The Mets, baby. The Mets had 2 people. Well, I guess you've included Nolan Ryan in this list. A different Met got a vote here. Jerry Koosman, who had a...
So Jerry Koosman was Tom Seaver's number 2.
Okay.
For years. He was like what Wainwright was to Carpenter early in his career.
Yeah. That's a good comparison. Thank you, Will. I understood that reference.
Anything for you. Jerry Koosman played 19 years, had 222 wins, a 3.36 ERA over his career, 2,556 strikeouts.
Wow. What's his career WAR at?
57.
So he's another guy that's like straddling the line a little bit.
Just let him in.
Why not? See, that's why
okay, so
he was second in Rookie of the Year in 1968.
yeah.
How are you not going to let that guy in?
But if you look at this, maybe should have been first.
Yeah. 2.08 ERA, a 1.1 whip, 17 complete games, 6.1 Ks per 9, but 263 innings pitched. And that ERA is so low, 2.08.
But everyone's ERA was low.
Yeah, that's true. Even still, though, like getting that out of a rookie is awesome. As compared to Johnny Bench's rookie season, he had a 275 average, 155 hits, 15 home runs, 67 runs, scored himself, 743 OPS, 117 OPS plus. Good season. But I don't know, man.
Nothing to scream about.
Yeah, I think I would give this to Koosman.
Yeah. Other guys we have on here are Bob Moose and Ron Reed. Some good names.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Right. Yeah, I would give this to Koosman over Bench.
Yeah, me too.
This isn't one I
Johnny
will,
Bench.
Yeah, this isn't one I'll say that the voters got wrong back in the day, because it is like, you're comparing a position player and a pitcher, and he still got second, so like this isn't like egregious, but I do think Koosman's their
And he's a
correct answer.
catcher.
Yeah,
and his R field is deceiving. Johnny Bench was a great catcher. He's one of the greatest defensive catchers ever. He just probably was finding his stride.
Right.
Right.
And
he probably showed some flashes of greatness.
Don't you have it? And this is like kind of consensus that it's like Bench, Pudge, Yachty, in that order of defensive catchers like ever.
I'd put Yachty first, probably. I'd say Yachty, Pudge, Bench.
Recorded. I'm recording. I'm keeping that. Clip it.
And then Brian McCann.
Yeah. And then
Evan Gaddis.
Russell Martin.
2007 All-MLB catcher.
That's true. We had him. That's really funny.
Episode's out.
Go listen.
Let's move on to some more pitcher seasons and your guy. National League Cy Young.
So, you want to know something funny? When Kyle Gibson
Yeah.
signed that 1-year deal with the Cardinals, his nickname is also Gibby. And Cardinal fans got very unnecessarily upset that, like, our Twitter account would be like, great day on the bump for Gibby. And, the comments would just be full of, 50-year-old men being like, that's not the real Gibby.
It's like, we know. He's white.
Right, yeah, it doesn't look like him.
It's kind of like when the Cubs social media started calling Kyle Hendricks the professor, and people were like, Greg Maddux is the professor.
It's like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
they both have the same last name, so, whatever. It's also just, a locker room nickname, you know? Like, Gibby. Like, guys aren't going to be like, Kyle, you know?
If you're talking about the greatest postseason pitchers of all time, it's him, it's Bumgarner, it's Koufax. Evaldi is in that conversation.
Randomly, Nasty Nady Evaldi's, they're
ridiculous in the postseason.
Yeah, but
Glavine.
yeah, but yeah. Again, if I could pick one player to go watch his prime, it'd be Bob Gibson.
Yeah, we have Bob Gibson. Goes 22-9. He leads in ERA, strikeouts, WHIP, shutouts, batting average against, and WAR. He has an 11.2 WAR season.
And he still pitches
It's,
304 innings.
Yeah, this is widely considered the greatest pitching season of all time.
Yeah.
This or Pedro's 2000. Then we have Steve Blass. Steve Blass is famous because he later in his career developed the yips, and it ruined his career.
Was he the first guy with the yips?
He was the guy. They called it Steve Blass disease for the longest
Wow.
time.
Imagine, God, that sucks. Imagine being so bad at your job all of a sudden that there's now a disease for when people are bad at their job that they knew how to do.
That they name after you.
I feel for this guy. Yikes.
Yeah. But I do love that Pirates logo.
Yeah, I think I saw.
It's like a wanted sign.
It really is. It's they posted it on the board outside of the tavern.
Yeah,
It looks very Disney, like old Disney to me.
I like it.
These are a
but
great
then we
lineup of
have-
logos.
Yeah. So Steve Blass goes 18-6, 2.12 ERA. Then we have Don Drysdale. He had a very notable season that we'll talk about in a little bit. Goes 14-12, 2.15 ERA, 1.075 WHIP. And then we have Fergie Jenkins, one of the greatest Cubs ever. How many Hall of Famers are on this list? We have Bob Gibson, Don Drysdale, Fergie Jenkins, Juan Marichal, Gaylord Perry, and Tom Seaver, all in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Wow.
And then Jerry Koosman maybe should be in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. But, we have Jerry Koosman after him. Then we have Marichal, who leads in wins with 26. 30 complete games.
Wow.
We have guys nowadays who don't even pitch 30 games
Right.
in a season.
Now, what's the bench? The benchmark is 180 innings.
Yeah.
You know?
Marichal's pitching 325.
Insane. Insane respect. Also, Giants logo, classy. My favorite. Love it.
It's great. And then his teammate, Gaylord Perry. Do you know my Gaylord Perry story?
I don't think I do.
Well, I met him when I went to Cooperstown.
Oh. Was he just
and-
there?
Yeah, well,
you-
I went during induction weekend,
Okay.
so they were all there. And so
Makes more
him
sense.
and Raleigh Fingers were just hanging out with Goose Gossage.
Really? Did Raleigh Fingers still have a big old mustache?
Oh, yeah.
Good. That you have to. If
But-
that's what you're known for and you're getting inducted, I'm glad.
Gaylord Perry and his brother Jim, who was also a great pitcher, grew up in the same county as my dad's dad. And my grandpa, we called him Daddy Harold. If he hadn't gone into the military, he could have gone to the minors. He could have played in the minors. He was a very good hitter.
Really?
He
Played
was,
with these guys?
Yeah, he was. I think he was
That's
a left
cool.
fielder, and he faced Gaylord Perry and Jim Perry in high school.
That's cool.
Jim Perry pitched a no-hitter against his high school, and my grandpa had the one hit.
Oh, so he broke it up. That's
Yeah.
a claim to fame for sure. It's so funny. The 1940s, 50s, 60s version of I could have gone pro if I didn't hurt my knee is I could have gone pro if I didn't go to war.
Yeah.
If I didn't go to the
But Gaylord Perry famously, his main pitch was the spitball.
Did he actually spit on it?
Oh, yeah.
My second Hawk Tuah reference of the episode.
All right. No, but a lot of people question whether or not he should even be in the Hall of Fame. Because, like, how good would he have been if he didn't use the spitball?
So that's like saying, like, how good would Chris Carpenter be if he didn't have this pitch, or how good would Verlander be?
Yeah, but the spitball was illegal.
Oh,
Yeah.
why can't you spit on it? That's natural. It's like sweat, but from your mouth.
But I think he also used, like, Vaseline and stuff.
So did you call him a cheater when you met him? You're like, you shouldn't be here if you didn't have a spitball. However old you were.
No. But I did. Me and my dad were walking past a shop, and we looked in, and Pete Rose was in there. And we were like, what are you doing here?
That's crazy. I need to go. That sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bucket list place for me to go visit.
Yeah. It's great. It was wonderful. But after Gaylord Perry, we have Tom Seaver.
I was about to ask, where is Cooperstown? It's probably in Cooperstown, huh?
It's in New York, so.
Yeah. Cooperstown, New York?
Yes.
Makes sense.
But we have Tom Seaver. The win totals aren't crazy impressive, other than like the guys who have like 20 wins. But Tom Seaver goes 16-12, 2.20 ERA, a WHIP below 1, and then we have Bob Veal, but he has a losing record, but it has a 2.05 ERA.
That's insane.
And then we have Ray Washburn, 14-8, 2.26 ERA. I think it's pretty clear who wins this one.
It's obvious. I mean,
Marichal has a great year.
Right, Marichal is a great year, but it's Bob Gibson. It always has been. Having guys with 13-14 record, 16-12 record, and their ERAs are 2.20, 2.05, 2.26, just tells you how absolute dog water the hitting was.
Well, no, it was just how good the pitching was.
That's true, but it's like, wow, you guys couldn't scrape together. It's as if you just had a whole league full of DeGroms, you know? That's probably actually the most accurate comparison you could say. It's just like the average Mets DeGrom start, where he would get like maybe 2 runs of run support, sounds like what was happening to most of these pitchers with these like 13-14 records and stuff.
But it was because the other pitcher on the other side was also great, probably.
Yeah. I mean, Veal lost 14 games, 2.05 ERA. That's insane. Steve Blass went 18. Don Dreza went 14-12, 2.15 ERA.
So Bob Gibson started 34 games in 1968. He completed 28 of them. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to read you, just from opening day to his last game, his earned runs from those games.
Yeah.
0, 3, 3, 1, 0, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 4, 0, 1, 0, 3, 0, 0, 2, 4, 1, 2, 0.
Dude, you know how much I
have
would
a start where he didn't allow more than 4 runs in a single start.
and that's only one time.
Yeah.
Incredible season, incredible person. I'm glad I got to see him like in person at some point before he passed away just very recently. Yeah, I can't say much more about him that I haven't already said. He's one of my favorite players of all time.
I think we're in agreement. It's pretty obvious. The 1968 National League Cy Young Reward stays with Bob Gibson of the St. Louis Cardinals. Let's go on to MVP. I mean, it might be a short conversation.
Yeah, I love to see what the hitting stats were for some of these guys, but
These are some names. I think it's the coolest thing about this is how many great names there are.
Right? I mean, every single one of these guys. It's kind of rare that you know who all these guys are. I'm usually privy to like half the list, a lot of the notable guys, because there are a lot of Hall of Famers in these older episodes. But once you start to get like a little further back in history, I get a little lost. But the fact that I know who all 10 of these guys you've listed are, Juan Marichal was somebody who I was not aware of until today. Everyone else, I mean, I know who all these people are, and that's really cool to me.
Juan Marichal was unbelievable. But he was like the odd man out when you talk about those guys like Gibson, Koufax, the guys from that era, and then there's Marichal. Like he was just a step below them, but he was still
Gotcha.
incredible.
The Matt Stafford, if you will.
Yes, who is like a step below Breeze and Manning and Brady,
Right.
but and Tannehill. So then we look at the guys on this list: Bob Gibson, Hall of Fame; Pete Rose, Hall of Fame; Willie McCovey, Hall of Fame; Curt Flood, one of the most important players in the history of the game. Do you know why?
No.
He invented free agency.
Oh, okay.
He was the first free agent.
I didn't know that, actually. That's cool.
Yeah. But then Juan Marichal, Hall of Fame; Billy Williams, Hall of Fame; Felipe Alou, great player and one of the best baseball families ever; Hank Aaron, Inner Circle Hall of Fame; Willie Mays, possibly the greatest player of all time; and then Tony Perez, Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, this is maybe the greatest collection of talent we've had on a list of this, to be honest with you. And only 2 pitchers. I know they don't like to not that they don't like to, but the Cy Young exists for a reason.
But of course I do. I picked the bottom 5 as guys.
Oh, that's
I picked.
true. That's true.
So-
That's true.
It's just guys with great seasons. The National League offensive seasons were much better than the American League.
Yeah, Pete Rose batting .335, 210 hits, leading the league in both of those. Only 10 homers, 49 RBI.
A 152 OPS plus though.
Right, 152. And then Willie McCovey, a 174 OPS plus. That's crazy.
There's a conversation to be had between him and Bob Gibson. It might be a short conversation, but I think it's something worth talking about.
Yeah, if you're going position players, Willie McCovey I think has obviously the best case in this year. 293 average, 36 home runs. And is this a candlestick?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that wasn't helpful to his home run total. 105 RBI, 923 OPS, and a 174 OPS plus. He also leads the league in both of those. So
Leads the majors in both of those.
is the majors. Craziness. Yeah, Willie McCovey. Were the Giants good this year? They seem like they have a lot of guys.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
1968 Giants. Went 88 and 74, finished second in the National League
Not good enough.
because there were no divisions.
Oh, so it's just the top one went to the World Series, huh? Mm-hmm. I know.
They finished 9 games back of the Cardinals.
So Cardinals were just dominant that year.
Yeah, that's why every other team is like 88 wins, 84 wins, 83 wins. Yeah.
Right. Feeding us. Also, just want to shout out Willie Mays. This is older Willie Mays. Like this is like end of Giants career Willie Mays. 289 batting average, 144 hits, 23 homers, 73 RBI. I agree with Willie that if they didn't move to Candlestick, he would probably have like 50 more home runs to his career total.
Oh, at Polo?
Legitimately. Yeah, he legitimately would have had
He also
more home runs.
he also says that if he had known that 40-40 was such a big deal, him and Mickey Mantle would have done it every year. But they just weren't trying.
I think he is the best baseball player of all time. Willie Mays for sure.
I mean, there's an argument to be made. I'm not going to argue with you on it.
Right. He's at least in the conversation, you know.
He's top 3.
At minimum. Him, we don't have to relitigate this right now, but him and the guy next to him are both in that convo.
Yeah.
Although Hank Aaron did a few less things than Willie Mays.
He could do the things Willie Mays did. He just wasn't as good. Like
I know, Willie Mays
Like
could-
he wasn't as good as a defender. Wasn't quite as fast.
But Willie Mays, here's the thing: Willie Mays could do everything and was the best at everything if he wanted to be.
Billy Williams has a great year.
Yeah,
30
he does.
homers, 98 RBI. And then we have Tony Perez at third base before he moved to first base and let Pete Rose play third.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, this Reds team was on right about before they were the Big Red
Well,
Machine.
because Bench was a rookie, so they were
Yeah.
getting ready.
They're almost there. Almost there. Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, I think you mentioned that he was earlier, and I was like, I thought he was one of
okay,
the guys
well-
that's not infamously, right? In the way that
Hall
Barry
of Fame
Bonds is in it.
caliber. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
I mean, we should make a Hall of Fame just for like him and Barry Bonds and McGuire and Sosa and all those guys. Put in
The
like
Hall of-
New Jersey.
The Hall of Game.
It's like Gotham compared to Metropolis.
Yeah.
Like right across the city. Put it in New Jersey somewhere.
The Hall of Game sounds pretty good. Like
Hall
they
of
had
Game's
game.
pretty cool. They had game. Too much of it.
All right.
This is
so
Bob Gibson's. This is Bob
Yeah.
Gibson's. Willie McCovey had the best case, but it's still Bob Gibson.
yeah. All right. So the 1968 National League MVP reward stays with Bob Gibson of the St. Louis Cardinals. All right. Let's move on to Breakout Player of the Year. We have two guys on here who we have already discussed.
Nice. Yes, Steve Blass. Pre-Yips Steve Blass. The year 2 seasons before his really great 68, he goes 11-7 with a 3.87 ERA. Not terrible. The next year is a 3.55 ERA, but then 68, puts it all together. He also has 76, 72 strikeouts and then jumps to 132. And his Ks per 9 goes from 4.4, 5.1, 5.4. So that's steadily increasing.
His WAR goes from -0.1 to -0.2 to positive 2.5.
Yeah, this is the year he just becomes a good starter.
He figured it out, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think the batting average against is the most notable thing. He goes from
True.
284 to 261 to 234. He
Does
probably
go from
developed a breaking ball, like a specific pitch, and
Yeah.
he figured it out.
The Pirate cleaned himself up too. He shaved.
Yeah.
Somehow fixed one of his eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. But then we have Ken Hawk Harrelson down here.
All right.
65. He has a good year, but he bats 238.
That's what he looks like. That's crazy to me because I've heard his voice is so iconic. Also, the front view of his face looks so much different than the side view of his face. Just want to point that out. With the A's, huh? And this is the Kansas City Athletics?
Yep.
I've never seen that hat logo before in my life.
I kind of want it.
I do too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, they should make a Sacramento A's hat. Like, why not, guys? Like, you're gonna be there for the foreseeable future.
Just let me wear sack on my.
Sacktown, baby. Yeah.
So Hawk Harrelson had an interesting, as you can see, bounce around the league.
Gosh, dude. So in 65, he was with the A's. 66, he went from the A's to the Senators. And then in 67, he goes back to the A's, back to the Senators, and then to the Red Sox before finally settling in with the Red Sox in 68. Like, that's... You're getting passed around.
Yeah. So
yeah.
he signs with the A's, then he is traded by the A's to the Senators, and then he is purchased by the A's from the Senators, and then he's released by the A's, and then he is signed as a free agent with the Boston Red Sox.
Insane. Insane. He, I mean, I wonder what the relationships are like with him and like the front office people, where it's like, I'm back again, especially with the A's, where it's just like,
It's like a Jesse
you didn't
Chavez
want me twice
situation.
now. True. It's the meme of Jesse Chavez every mid-April coming back to the Braves.
And
It's like, get my
dominating.
locker ready.
Who are you thinking?
I think where we ended up is that Ken Harrelson had a better breakout.
Yeah, he might not have had a better year, but like we've said in the past with other guys, we kind of saw Steve Blass improving, and then he
just
figured
kind of-
it out.
Obviously, when you switch teams 6 times in 3 years, like
Harrelson
finally
looked
getting
like
to
a
settle in.
journeyman who just
Yeah.
like was going to be okay for his career, and then all of a sudden he's in third in MVP voting.
Yeah, finally getting to settle
Deservedly.
in, and very deservedly, and have a great 155 OPS plus 874 OPS. He had a 275 batting average. The years before, he was hovering in the 230s. The year prior, he had a 255, but that's still not good. He goes from 23 home runs to 12 to 12 to 35. His hits, the year before, had 85 hits. The next year is 147. And it's partly to do with your switching teams so much that you're not an everyday player, but finally getting to establish yourself as the everyday player that you are. I'm voting Ken Harrelson.
All right, so that means that the 1968 Reward Show Breakout Player of the Year is, put it on the board, Ken Harrelson. All right. Let's go to moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm leaning towards Drysdale.
That was my initial lean too.
It's Drysdale or McLean.
I was saying the McLean was also cool. The like part of me that loves weird baseball stuff likes the Gaylord Perry Ray Washburn thing, but I think it's Drysdale.
Yeah, I will tell you, Drysdale's record has been broken since
Recently?
in the 80s
Oh, okay, I would
by
have.
Oral Hershiser. I think it was
Gotcha.
88. So does that change things? There's no longer a record, and Denny McLean's is and will always be.
Kind of.
Yeah,
A little bit.
because no one may ever win 20 again.
Right. 20 is like, I feel like 20 is gonna happen once every couple of years.
Yeah,
30 is like,
it's gonna be like a 50 home run kind of thing.
right. Whereas 30 game winner is gonna be like a 70 home run season.
Yeah, never gonna happen again.
Yeah.
Are we
Even
going with
rarer
it?
than that. I think so.
All right. The 1968 Reward Show Moment of the Year goes to Denny McLean, who won his 30th game of the season on September 14th, a record that will never be broken. Let's go to All MLB. This is your All MLB team. Starting pitchers are Bob Gibson, Denny McLean, Dave McNally, Tom Seaver, and Louis Tiant. Our reliever is Wilbur Wood. Catcher is Bill Freehan. First base, Willie McCovey. Second base, Don Buford. Third base, Brooks Robinson. Shortstop, Bert Campaneris. And your outfielders are Hank Aaron, Roberto Clemente, and Carl Yastrzemski. Now, here is my theme all-time team of the week. This is your all-time space team.
Space. Oh, because it's not Space Race. I get it.
All right. Your starting pitcher is Carl Hubble.
Hubble telescope.
Yeah.
I get it. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, so I'm gonna get these.
Your relief pitcher is Dave Shippenoff.
That's what year did he play? What era is shipping
They're
off?
shipping off. They're shipping off. Your catcher is Joe Astroth.
Close. pretty
Your
good.
first baseman is Willie Stargell.
Explain that one to me.
Star.
Oh, duh. Yeah,
You were thinking too hard.
I was like, spaceship. Did the Russians make a Stargell spaceship? What happened?
Second base, Hector Luna.
Nice.
Third base, Tyler Houston.
Good. We have a problem.
Shortstop, Sonny Jackson.
Okay, I dig it.
And your outfield consists of Wally Moon, Armando Marsans,
Okay, thanks for stressing the Mars in that name.
and Pete Crow Armstrong.
Well done, Will. That's a
Thank
really,
you.
I don't know if it's a talented group of players, but it's certainly an entertaining group of players.
I'm going to have one for you every week. Well, that is a wrap on this episode of The Reward Show. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, download the pod, and follow me, Sam, the show, and Boulder Baseball on socials. We got more hot takes, more bad award decisions, and same love of the game. My name is Will.
My name's Sam.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
There's a trophy on your shelf. Does it belong